Do you remember the first artist? Do you remember the first artist that maybe came up to you at some point and said you were a huge inspiration for me? It's something you're hearing a lot now, but I'm wondering if you remember when it first started happening.
That's a good question. No, I tend not to focus too much on my early career and the past. I try to focus on right now. I do know that people like D'Angelo, Alicia Keys, Beyonce. I'm most happy when people come up to me and they say they're inspired by my music and they're actually talented. You know, you know, it's kind of scary when some of them, you know, never mind. You know.
That begs a follow-up. Who has said? We won't do that. But can I ask you to look at the monitor? We have a question.
I love your work. I look just like you, right? Sorry, that was uncalled for. I had no business doing that. So.
Floor is yours. You can do whatever you want, bud. If you can look at the monitor, we have a question from all the way from Toronto. Right up there.
Hey, my name is Jason. I'm from Toronto, and I just wanted to ask Prince, what is his version of real music?
Do you have a concert ticket? No. That's not nice. That's narcissistic and arrogant. It's just come to the concert.
So far, every show has gotten rave reviews, and I'm wondering, have you ever had a bad show on this tour? Or has anyone even noticed that maybe you've had a bad show?
That's a good question. One of the things that we pride ourselves in is, again, learning how to arrange music, learning how to make the songs strong, segueing them all together, keeping the show like popping, and if you do have a bad show, like my voice is a little raggedy because it's so many shows back to back, but it doesn't matter because the band's so tight and they're a well-oiled machine at this point. So that's why it's so important to learn the music and not rely on the computers, you know, because you got people now, if they forget their dats at the airport, that's a wrap. Straight out. So it's like, you got to be able to do it, you know. I mean, and look at those drums. I mean, look, it's just beautiful.
And how many drums does he go through, though? He hits them hard.
Yeah.
He's pounding on them. Yeah. Nice. Musicology. Let's talk about musicology again. Good love songs, of course. That's what you do really well. But also, Cinnamon Girl comes to mind. Also, Dear Mr. Man. Songs dealing with the current state of what's going on in the world. Delicate subject matter in some people's eyes. Was that a concern for you, knowing that if you sort of delved in this area, it might be misinterpreted or whatever?
No, I made my career in saying whatever I felt like saying, so.
Are you optimistic about what's happening now? Are we
Absolutely.
turning a corner of understanding, hopefully?
Absolutely. Anytime you get people like this together and you just sit down and you talk about things, what we all seem to come up with is that we all are one people. And Toronto's really indicative of that. I find so much peace here, and the relation between people who are supposedly different are actually a lot better than they are in the United States. And a lot of that, when you think about it, a lot of it's taught to us. And I think it's taught to us for a reason, because ultimately it keeps us apart, and it keeps the people in power in charge of us. So ultimately, we're going to have to learn how to be together and become one people. What I've been doing recently is studying the scriptures as deep as I can, so that that's what gives me the optimism. And I would advise anybody, if you want to feel like there's some hope in this joint, I mean, pick up the book and like read it and get somebody to actually show you what's going on in it, because it's a real thing.
The insight you seem to possess, and just your general energy about you, was it always there, even years ago?
No, I think I've evolved just like anybody else. One difference, I think, with me is that in human years, I'm a little older than most of the artists that come on television, so you don't hear a lot of young people talking about things like I talk about because they really haven't lived, they haven't gone through a lot of experiences yet, and we can't really expect them to. That's why it's important that the media open up the doors a little bit and, get some elders up in here. Let's talk about all this. We can't, it's just not all a party, alcoholism and promiscuity. I mean, so it's too much.
Well, there was one review that said what she was reminded of earlier on in the tour was that this, to me, was the old Prince introducing the new Prince. And I thought, I kind of see what she's saying, but how did you react when you heard something like that?
Actually, I just heard that now, but it's fine. I don't mind. It's her viewpoint. I think we're just all in evolution. We're going to just keep learning things as we go along, and we're here to teach one another. So, I'm going to speak about it. I hope others do too.
A question from someone in Kamloops again on the monitor up there.
Hi, my name is Katrina, and I just moved to Toronto from Kamloops, BC. And I want to ask Prince what is his most favorite thing to do in Canada?
That's a good question. And yeah, spend time with my wife and family. Yeah.
Back in April, there was the quote about, because you spend a lot of time out in the city doing things, and when you drive down Queen Street, you've often wanted to go to Speaker's Corner, for instance. You haven't done that yet, have you?
Yeah, I would always look at it, and then because it's so much fun to watch, and then, I just kind of thought I'd get in there and just blank out, so it's...
You did a Canadian impression, or an impression
No,
of Canadians last night.
Actually, that was the only lip-synced part in the show.
You haven't developed the A yet?
Actually, I like that. I can feel that. That's got some stuff on it, so I might keep it.
You don't catch yourself, maybe a certain word all of a sudden coming out different in the past couple of years? Nothing like that?
No. My wife doesn't have an accent, so I don't think I'll pick it up. Now, some of her brothers do. Kent! Sorry.
An audience question right here.
Hey, Prince. My name is Jordan Mimran, and I know you record a lot of music, and I'm curious how much music do you have in your famous vault, and how much of it do you rehash later? Do you ever use any of it later on? What are you planning on doing with it?
Trying to see if you fit the profile of a bootlegger. I keep an eye on him. Yeah, all right. We actually have a few vaults now because I record so much. Sometimes I'll pull something out of there and use for a record that I'm working on, if it fits, but very rarely, because we work on new music all the time. I'm always writing, and once again, playing with such wonderful musicians, they're such an inspiration. You can't stop trying new things out, so it's a joy.
I've heard, sometimes till 3 or 4 in the morning, you're up tinkering. Sometimes all night, when the mood hits you.
Yeah, I'm in rehab now, though, so. Studio rehab. Better clarify that. When we're out on the road, we have to do after shows because everybody, the audience, us, we get so high from the show that we gotta do something to come down. So we play like 2-3 more hours, and then we can relax and chill out. So that's what it's about.
Tonight there's gonna be a show. You're gonna be hanging out after.
Definitely.
This person wanted to know where.
Where? His house.
From Hamilton. You know where Hamilton is, just down the road there. We have another question over here.
Hi, my name's Troy, and I'm from Hamilton. Prince, I was just wondering, how do you pick the members in your band? And I break dance, so maybe I could be in your band, if that's cool, maybe? No?
There's definitely a spot for you in the show for breakdancing. You will be on stage alone, though. There probably won't be any music happening, but you just do your thing, you know. It's like, the band members come to me usually through other band members. We're just kind of, I guess, it's like nepotism. Someone will introduce me to this person. They'll be in the band for a while. They'll say, if you ever need such and such. Like Renato Neto is an amazing keyboardist. He came to me through Rhonda. And Candy, I met her in very strange circumstances. She could better tell you that than I could. But Maceo, it was just a dream to play with him. I always wanted to. And we were just thinking the other day that what a blessing. I'm the one that gets to cue in his solos. I mean, it's like, wow. You know, if it was over now, I'm straight.
We've got to wrap this up soon, but I got to ask, you know, looking back at the career, a lot of milestones you've lost track. Well, you don't keep track, but I'm sure a lot of people have lost track of them all. The word visionary has come up a lot. You might downplay it, but when you hear the word visionary, what do you think of? And do you think, does it apply to you?
Well, ultimately, I think it applies to all of us. If you ask anybody in this room, if they had their way, how they would reshape their life and the world, they could give you a wonderful scenario. So the idea is to just try to live that, and that's what I try to do.
Thank you for coming. Appreciate it. I'm sure all these people appreciate it.
Earlier this year, my next guest was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and it's no wonder. He's won 7 Grammys, an Oscar, and has sold over 100 million albums. His latest is Musicology, and it's out now. He doesn't really give interviews, so we're very honoured to have a Australian television exclusive with music royalty. Ladies and gentlemen, Prince.
How are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
Great.
Well, first off, congratulations for being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. How did it feel to be inducted?
It was a cool feeling. What I dug most was jamming with the musicians. A lot of them are my friends, and I hadn't seen them in a while, and it was a good night.
And I would think it must be the ultimate music honour to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. What does receiving an award like that mean to you?
Well, I never really got off on awards so much. I think it's more for the people who give them and also for the fans. I get a lot of props from people in the street and a lot of love and congratulatory pats on the back. So it's a good feeling, you know, the after effects.
Well, I tell you what, for a guy who's won 7 Grammys and an Oscar, it must be pretty good to not have to get off on awards.
Well, that's not why I make the music, so.
Well, if you don't want them, I'll take them.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. Well, now, of course, at the Grammys, you performed a duet of Purple Rain with Beyonce Knowles, which stole the show. How did it feel for you to perform with someone like her who you've inspired so much?
Well, yeah, she's also an inspiration to me. She's very talented. She's a smart vocalist, and the more she stays centered with the music and learns instruments, the better she'll be, I think.
Well, you yourself know how to play many instruments as well. How many do you know how to play?
Thousands.
Thousands?
Yeah.
Well, what's the most obscure instrument you know how to play?
I can play pretty much anything. It's whether or not it's good is...
Well, have you ever played a lagerphone, an Australian instrument called the lagerphone?
No, I never even heard of that one.
Okay, well, let me run you through it. It's pretty much, it's like, it's pretty much just a broomstick handle, and you nail bottle caps to it, and then you just bang it on the ground. Oh, yeah, it's right up there. And, you know, feel free to use it in your next clip or while you're on tour, you know, just get a bit of lagerphone action going on there.
Well, next time I'm in Sydney or Melbourne, I might drop some of that on you.
Sounds very good to me. Now, of course, the name of your current album is Musicology. Now, what does the word musicology actually mean? Well,
when I grew up, I listened to a lot of the masters of the time, the Motown sound, James Brown, Sly Stone, and I studied them. I studied the way they put their sounds together. And what I hope is that young musicians today will listen to how I put my sounds together on this record.
And what do you hope they'll learn from that?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to bring the song back. I don't think there's a lot of songs out there now. There's a lot of just grooves, and dancing's cool, but after a while the mind just gets numb.
Do you think there's a bit of a problem with the amount of manufactured groups and performers that seem to be churned out by a lot of the record companies at the moment?
Well, there's not a lot of balance. There seems to be so much manufactured pop out there that I don't know where we're going to end up at the end of all of this. Maybe just a big computer chip, who knows. But my responsibility is to the musicians, and I try to keep that alive through what we're doing now.
Now, I read recently where you said of American Idol's William Hung that we need somebody to release albums like these. Now, what did you mean by that?
Well, there's always a market for music like that, so record companies are cool in that regard. But, as technology moves into lightning speed situations, we need to try to take some of that and see if we can't do different things with the delivery of music and also the production of it.
Now, have you actually had a chance to listen to William Hung's album? It's quite unique.
No, I haven't really taken time to put that on.
Well, I highly recommend it, highly recommend it. I'll tell you what, there's a guy who needs a lagerphone, I'll tell you that. Now, it's actually fascinating to learn that when you're a child, to teach yourself how to play music, you learnt TV themes. Is this true?
Yeah, that was the first music that I heard in repetition.
And what were some of the favourite tunes you enjoyed playing?
Batman.
Oh, the old no, Batman.
That's right.
I'll do that again in case you missed it. No, Batman.
It sounds even worse with this headphone I've got.
And it looks even worse when I do it with my underpants on the outside. Now, tell all the fans watching at home, do you have any plans to bring the tour down under, come and visit us back here?
I look forward to coming back to Australia. We had a wonderful time there. We were there recently, and the audience there, they're wild, and it brings out this side of me that is just going to be a lot of fun. So I look forward to that.
Excellent. Well, the album is Musicology. It's out now. Thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us, and looking forward to seeing you down under sometime soon.
Look forward to it.
Please thank Prince, everyone.
Peace.
So good to have you with us. I'm sitting with a genius, a music genius. Thank you for joining us here in the studio.
Oh, my pleasure.
So after looking at all those pictures and those flashbacks over the years, are you the same man?
No, I don't think so. I'm constantly evolving, trying to work on my whole being to better myself and the world around me.
You're also a Jehovah's Witness now.
Yes.
How has that changed your life?
Oh, immensely. I started studying the Bible once I changed my name back, and started studying with my good friend Larry Graham. I used to play with Sly and the Family Stone, and he helped me to just look at the Bible in a very practical way, and cut through all the dogma and the thing that has kind of separated religion in the first place. I just wanted a clean, simple approach to it.
And it helps you with your music as well.
Well, definitely. I mean, it's going to help you with every aspect of your life. Once you can clean out the cobwebs, so to speak, then you're going to see everything a little bit more clearly.
I want to talk to you about the name change and really about all of your wonderful experiences, but let's begin with the new album. The new album coming out tomorrow, you're back on tour. What are some of the best and worst parts about performing live once again?
Well, there's nothing bad about it.
You still get the just
definitely.
jazzed up and...
Yeah, because every concert, every performance, there's going to be somebody there that's never seen me before. And we have a lot of fans that are bringing their children to see me for the first time. So I'm trying to give them an introduction to music the same way I was introduced to it, which was with real live instruments and a real visceral approach to it.
It's interesting that you mentioned children coming to watch you because that brings up the whole issue of this indecency craze that really is going on right now after Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake's performance, the Super Bowl. What did you think about that?
Well, the whole situation, I think, is a little bit bigger than the performers themselves. When I reflect on it, looking back at 9/11, you see that we were sort of galvanized to come together and do something. And our so-called leaders told us to go back to the malls and spend money, get back on airplanes and things like that. And really, I think all of us are pretty much searching for just clarity and some sort of order in our lives now. And that's part of it. So, and the other thing is that I have a responsibility to the children that come to the concerts to not expose them to anything that would be, considered raunchy or risque. I think all artists have that responsibility.
And you're thinking about this. I mean, when you're writing and when you're performing, this is something that you're aware of, this responsibility that you have to make sure that you are above the line and not coming across raunchy or something that would be considered wrong or indecent in front of children.
Well, ultimately, I'm not trying to be obscene to anybody. So I have to take these things into account. The other thing, too, is that just, like I said, study of the scriptures helps one to understand that we're all in this together. And I wouldn't want my children exposed to something that would be pretty hard to explain on the way home. So I feel that I've got to, take that responsibility myself.
So maybe it was the right thing that Howard Stern was taken off the air, and that, I mean, we've seen a lot of results from that episode, and just this changing of thinking.
Yeah, I really can't speak so much for that, but I don't know. Like I said, I just think people are seeking order in their lives now, and it's if nothing else, it's getting us all to just talk to one another about these issues. They're important.
Let's talk back about the new album. You've got a lyric on the first track of the new album, Musicology, and I'm going to quote, "Don't you miss the feeling music gave you back in the day?" Is this a nostalgic album?
In some respects, yes. The video was from Musicology. It chronicles the tale of a young man who is buying his concert ticket for the first time and gets a record for the first time. And he's a guitar player. He's an up-and-coming guitar player. And he puts the needle on the record and he has to learn the song. And that's kind of how I grew up. And it was a certain feeling that I got from real live instruments that you don't really get today because a lot of it's pre-recorded samples.
Do you feel that growing up in Minnesota and staying there keeps you humble? I mean, it seems that, for such a fantastic superstar, you seem so humble.
Well, I appreciate it. I think, Minnesota probably has a little bit to do with that, but I'm also very grateful that I've been blessed with the gift that I have and also the love of the people, because without them, it'd be pretty tough out here. It's a hard business.
Prince, we were just talking before we went to the break about how you were with a record company, and then you sort of, in 1999, you broke the contract with Warner Brothers. What happened? And now with this new album, Musicology, you're back with a big label. Why the change again?
Let's see how I can put this. From time to time, I go back and forth into the industry, and I give them things to promote. The first being Emancipation, the album I recorded after I left Warner Brothers. And I had a good run with Warner Brothers. It got to a point, though, that we had some disputes about ownership and things of that nature. We're working all that out now, and there's a new regime over there, and I expect good things in the future. So there's no hard feelings or anything like that. But like I said, from time to time I go back and do major label agreements so that I can reach a wider audience with certain projects that I think fit that situation better. I did an album called The Rainbow Children recently, we were real proud of, and we released it independently and had a lot of success with that, and did a tour behind it. And sometimes when you do things of a more heady nature, it's better to do them independently. But this is a pop record. There's a lot of musicology is a pop record, and there's a lot of radio-friendly songs on there. So we thought it'd be best to hook up with a major this time.
When you were with Major, when you were with Warner Brothers initially back in the 90s, it was well known that you had a lot of songs that you wanted to release. Well, you correct me if I'm wrong, that you had a whole host of songs that you wanted to release, and they didn't want to release them all at one time. Is it true that you have songs that you would like to release and you could release right now, ready to go, and you actually never released them?
Well, like I said, one of the main problems with Warner's was just ownership issues. Who was going to actually own the intellectual copyright of the piece that was created? And the way I looked at it, if I was the only one in the studio at the time creating this work, I felt that I should be the one that should own it in perpetuity. At the same time, it doesn't negate the idea that they can lease it and make money off of it. We can all do fine.
Yeah, you said once, perhaps one day, all the powers that are will realize that it is better to let a man be all he can be than to try to limit his output to just what they can handle.
Yeah, that sounds like a soundbite.
Probably doesn't tell the whole story.
Yeah, it doesn't really.
Yeah. Now, is it true you only sleep 3 hours a night?
I only got 3 hours last night. The spirit moves me to just write and record as much as I can. I'm trying to, I'm as intrigued by the end of this story as other people, I guess, so I just keep going.
What gives you the most creativity? When do you get most creative? Is there something that sort of begins you off, you know, when you start writing?
Oh, I can write a song about anything. So a conversation, an idea, a dream, anything.
Why do you think the music industry is doing so poorly right now?
Well, when I talk to some of the people in it that you know, are the so-called gatekeepers and run the shop, they attribute it to a few different things. One, of course, being the piracy and the downloading. From my point of view, though, it's not so bad because I have a music club, and that's basically what its primary function is a download system. So I don't want to intellectualize their situation too much and talk about it too much, because I think it's going to sort of organically work its way one way or another, and I think it's a good thing either way it comes out.
But we've got to, I mean, if I were an industry executive right now, I would say, well, we've got to do something about this. So tell me about your solution, npgmusic.com.
Well, from our point of view, like I said, we're the artist and also the distributor. So, you know, it's a little different situation. I don't have to sign myself to a label. I don't have to restrict myself to only being exclusive to one particular situation. So it's a whole different way of looking at it.
Mm-hmm. Should other artists, you think, be doing this?
Well, I think it would be cool if they had the right to do it and still, you know, had their major label deals as well. I mean, there's enough to go around, you know. I mean, we got to do something, though, and we're all in this together. So ultimately, you know, like I'll have discussions with execs, and we discuss all kinds of different ways. One of the things we're doing is giving the album to everyone that comes to the concert, and ultimately, basically what we're trying to do is just create a peer-to-peer relationship that gets the music out there, and that's all it's really about anyway.
Mm-hmm. What do you listen to when you're not listening to your own music? What other music do you like? What other artists?
There's other music? No,
well, you write for so many, you've written songs for so many other artists, so.
Yeah. I'm digging Alicia Keys, Beyonce. I'm hoping D'Angelo comes back out with something pretty soon.
Opening up the Grammys with Beyonce must have been a lot of fun.
Oh, it was a blast, yeah. She's very talented.
What do you feel like playing tonight if you were to play something for us?
If I was to play something for you, I'd be your accompanist, and you'd do your thing.
But I'm not a singer.
Neither am I.
Yes.
You look a little nervous.
I
right
am
now.
nervous because we just went through this during the commercial break, and Prince said that he would play a song if I were to sing, and I'm not a singer,
And I don't know a lot of the words to the songs, so would you want to play something for us?
I'll play something for you.
Okay.
You thinking about what you want to sing? How about Delirious? Go on.
I'm like blanking out with the words.
You don't know any blues?
Blues.
Yeah.
How about jazz? I didn't know you were going to do this. I didn't know you were going to do this. Okay. How about one of your oldies? Since you're telling everybody that you're not going to be playing your oldies anymore. How about Purple Rain?
I don't know that one.
You do. You lie.
Okay, you sing it.
How could I even try?
Go on.
I'm sitting here with Prince. I'm going to sing.
She's tearing up. Oh.
That's not what the audience wants. You're killing me.
That's the idea.
You are great, Prince. Thank
Well,
you so much. I'm sorry. I wimped out. I'm afraid because I don't have a voice. And I'm sitting here with the genius of all music, and you're asking me to sing. Good luck on tour.
Thank you very much.
Good luck with the album, and we
Appreciate
are
it.
so glad that you came to the studio. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Really great meeting you.
Everybody, Prince, his new album is Musicology, and it is out tomorrow. Run out, buy that CD.
Good to see you as always.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Look at us on that camera.
Yeah. Do we look good?
Looking sharp. I'm feeling new sideburns.
Oh, yeah. Well.
It's working.
And that black and white is sharp. When you're, for the book, the best-selling book, 21 Nights, your photographer, Randy, was here. Randy St. Nicholas.
Right.
Yeah, Randy was here. And I remember in that conversation, the two of us talking about the fact that you stay pretty much clean all the time. It's not like when you're in your house, you got on sweats and...
Randy said that?
Yeah, Randy said he's pretty sharp all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
No.
That's not true?
Yeah, I sleep like this.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I would believe that, except for the fact that I know that you don't sleep.
Yeah.
You really don't sleep very
I
much.
saw
do
a sign in the back said, journalist, advocate, insomniac.
you? Yeah. Yeah. Well, for you, it should be the world's greatest musician, insomniac. That's what it is.
Props to you on your show. Seriously, I watch every chance I get, and Hugh Masekela last night.
Yeah.
So, wow.
Yeah.
Joni Mitchell.
Yeah.
Man, it's just so enlightening.
Well, I appreciate it.